The only elections that we personally are going to concern ourselves with are the elections internal to the party of the working class. And our eyes are set on the CPUSA to that end. Yes, civil war will be the result of this. There's no doubt about that in my mind. And I'm going to tell you some outcomes that I think would be really boring, right? One outcome that I find really boring is that another Republican gets elected and all this gets buried, and Americans are retarded enough to fall into a George W. Bush 2.0 patriotic war, yeah, and it's just fascism, right? So that's the fascism part one. Version 1 fascism. Version 2 fascism is Trump actually does get elected, but he doesn't get elected on the back of some populistic movement. He gets elected because the GOP and the Democrats decide, hey, this is not worth a civil war. We're just going to give Trump emergency powers, wink, wink, and work with him. That's the biggest fucking thing we have to be fearful of. Trump, he's not horrible by himself, but Trump combined with the swamp is a fucking disaster, all right? And specifically the GOP, because it didn't really work out that well during his 4-year presidency, but if the GOP falls in line behind Trump and anoints him as a dictator with emergency powers, just know Trump was a Fed from the start, because that was their whole game plan, which was to engineer a false political crisis in order to give dictatorial powers to the regime to circumvent our constitutional rights. And I mean that earnestly as a MAGA communist. I mean it earnestly. We are not afraid to keep Trump in check. And no, we don't fucking worship Trump. We don't worship Trump. We don't worship Trump. We are very much prepared to oppose Trump if it comes to the point where he decides to allow himself to be a tool of the establishment. Now, this is not the situation right now, to the extent of my knowledge. But be vigilant of these things. That's all I'm trying to tell you. Be vigilant of it. There's no way they could have predicted that far. Maybe you're right. You could be right. You could be right. That's possible. I'm not discounting the possibility that things are unfolding not truly antagonistically. It's not a false thing. But I don't trust Trump. You should not trust Trump. But we will independently assess the situation ourselves. If it comes down to Trump versus the world, we will support him. If it's Trump versus the world, we will support him. If it's Trump versus the entire GOP and the Democratic Party, and there's no segments of the ruling class that go behind him, then we will be very clear about our approval of his political existence, of his political significance. But we will do it from an independent perspective, because we're not here to facilitate the dictatorship of Donald Trump. We are here to see to the establishment of the dictatorship of the working class, the dictatorship of the party of the working class. And it is to that party we owe our loyalty to, in the last and final instance. But we will not discount the possibility of joining together in a popular front that includes Donald Trump, if and under the circumstances I just described. If it's him versus both of the duopoly parties, and he's on his own, we will come to his aid and the aid. And we are already with MAGA, by the way. We are already with MAGA. But we are not automatically loyal to Trump. We do so from the perspective of an independently articulated proletarian consciousness, from the perspective of scientific socialism, backed by the history and tradition of the immortal science of Marxism-Leninism. Know that our authority and our tradition is irreplaceable. No single personality, no one like Trump or anyone else can erase the necessity of internalizing, of respecting, of upholding, and most importantly, of inheriting the wisdoms of the tradition of Marxism-Leninism and of world communism, which we seek to apply in the American context. So let's be clear. Some accuse us of tailism. We have no tailless bone in our body. It's not us who are growing tails. It's the people who abandon humanity as a whole. They're the ones themselves growing tails. Don't throw that tailism nonsense on us when you're a bunch of fucking Democrats anyway. We will assess the situation independently and act accordingly. We don't owe anybody our fucking loyalty. Understand that. Understand that our priority is the formation of an independent party of the working class. And it is from the headquarters of the working class, as an independent organ, as an independent organization, that we will decide our relationship to Trump's political existence. We won't do so individually. We're not Trump's fan club. We are not Trump's fan club. We have complete independence from Trump and anyone else. We will create the headquarters to articulate the interests of the working class, and yes, be the vanguard as the most advanced section of the proletariat, to articulate correctly the class consciousness and the overall orientations and aims of the proletarian class. Yes, it will be the party that does that. Yes, the party will be an exceptional minority. No, we don't care about your fake gay democracy. We seek a dictatorship of the working class. And you say, so you want a tyranny where a party lords over... No, we want to reduce the government to the bare minimum. As far as government is concerned, as a coercive monopoly on violence, we want to reduce it. We want to pulverize it into a bare minimum. A bare minimum which is simultaneously emanating grand and awesome power, fueled and charged by the faith, loyalty, belief of the masses. And it will be the masses who attend to their own affairs, having their own guns, having their own militias, having their own local forms of organization. But it will be the center and the state dictatorship which will be the culmination of that power. Simplified, yet great, awesome, and powerful. Powerful like the power of the kings of Babylon and Sumer and Assyria and the powers of the pharaohs. So let me clarify where we stand as to the matter of our relationship to the elections in 2024. The only elections that we personally are going to concern ourselves with are the elections internal to the party of the working class. And our eyes are set on the CPUSA to that end. But we may, and we are preparing for a scenario in which, if the CPUSA plays dirty tricks to circumvent its own protocols of democratic centralism and prevent the elections on a fair basis, we will do what MAGA is threatening to do to the U.S. government. We will do that to the CPUSA. If they want to steal our election, if Joe Sims wants to be Joe Biden and steal the CPUSA election, we will have our own January 6th within the CPUSA. We will have our own organization. And yes, mark my words, our own party. Because remember, for now, the organization that I'm launching, which evidently is going to be launched in January, but the organization that I'm launching is not going to be a party. It's going to be rendering the party superfluous in many ways. But there may come a point in which we declare this is the party, period. And we will act in the capacity of a party. It'll be a decentralized organization which bears, I'm not going to name it. I'm not going to tell you what the plan is. You'll see when we announce it. But yes, we have plans for 2024. We have plans for 2024. No, those plans do not amount to campaigning and canvassing for some fucking politician. Our plan is to build the backbone of a working class party. And we will build it with our hand. We will build it with our work and our labor. And that's what I can promise you for 2024. I'm not going to be some faggot conservative sitting here and just commentating about Trump. Oh, President Trump! Oh, President Trump! Oh, Biden this! Oh, Biden that! And then a scandal comes out and turns out they're pedophiles. I am not here to commentate upon politics. I am here to build the seed of a dictatorship. I'm not here to speculate and gamble about what's going to happen. I am here to seize fate itself. This much I can promise you. When my book comes out, you're going to understand why I postponed launching the organization to finish this book. When you look at the title, you're going to say, that's why. It's perfectly on the nose. You're going to fucking understand. We will be the standard bearers of a new America. An America whose capital is not going to be in fucking Washington, D.C., but is going to be in fucking Salt Lake City, Utah. Or somewhere else, I don't know. Don't quote me on that. We'll move the capital to the Rockies. Like the Mongols moved the capital of China to Beijing. Like the Bolsheviks moved it to Moscow. We're going to move it to the Rockies. Of course we're Mormons. Of course we're Mormons. Mormons who look ahead to the future. Mormons who follow in the footsteps of destiny. Not looking backwards whatsoever with each step that they take. Not that destiny. Yes, we're Mormons. We will be riding Cybertrucks across the Salt Lakes and the Salt Flats of the Rocky Mountains, surrounded by these mountains. For what purpose, I don't know. But it's a cool aesthetic, isn't it? Anyway, I'm not going to concern myself with what's going on in America? What's going on? I mean, shut up. What's going on? We know what's going on. The empire's collapsing. That's not enough. We're here to pick up the pieces, to be the new standard bearers. What's in store for America is the same thing that was in store for the ancient Mesopotamian city of Uruk. It's the same thing that was in store for the city of Baghdad when the Mongols were descending upon it. Heaven has grown weary of the excessive luxury and arrogance of Washington, D.C. I'll tell you that much. The nomads are coming. The nomads are coming. The cities will surrender or be destroyed. The cities will surrender or be destroyed. We will besiege New York City. And they will submit or they will be destroyed. We will besiege Los Angeles. The crackheads must stop shitting in the streets. But most importantly, all the Hollywood celebrities must give up their Hollywood mansions to the soldiers of the future Red Army. We need a place to stay and headquarter and all that. Anyway, we're engaging in fantasy fiction right now. Fiction which may have granules of truth for the future. Granules of truth. It's not going to be the complete. It's not going to be a fantasy. It'll have granules. Not even grains. Granules of truth. Granules. The fishermen will submit. The fishermen will be allowed to fish, yes. But they will not be allowed to consume so much fish oil and fat to the point where they decide that it's okay to engage in cannibalism and in slavery and human sacrifice. They need to not have that huge fish fat oil festivals that they do. Not going to be allowed. We're going to promote a healthy diet, which includes not only fish, but also poultry and even some beef, maybe. Unless you're Hindu. A well-balanced diet. A well-balanced diet. Anyway, the inside jokes are getting out of hand. They're getting quite out of hand. And nuke the Pacific. No, we're not going to nuke the Pacific. All right. Anyway,